Boris
If
Johnson.
we go, no.
Wait, for what?
No, for American football, not. No American football season happening because if we go 2 consecutive seasons without playing any form of potentially competitive football, that's not good enough, man. Because I play Sunday League.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
And we're still currently playing. I've even got a game tomorrow. Yeah. Netball's still currently happening. I've got guys that are still playing rugby right now competitively.
Yeah, my wife has been playing netball, so.
Basketball's still happening competitively.
Yo, what's good, people? It's your boy Snowman. Yes, I know, bruv. Proper special occasion and that. Got man hosting
international on the mic.
You know that.
Nah, we're here today again. New topic, and in the room today I got G Money, G Boy.
What's going on, people? It's good.
I
Hope
got
everyone's well and safe.
Mr. No Limits, travel everywhere. Do my thing. Selling K.
Mr.
You
JK,
say, my guy.
When's the next holiday, my guy?
Well, I've had to cancel a couple, man. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we can go somewhere in March, innit? Let's see what happens.
Say name, man. Invite me, please. We got the Bronze Bomber. What's good, my bro?
You know me. I feel good, you know. I just ordered new boxer shorts from Next. So man's feeling fresh. Don't I feel it when you order new boxer shorts? You feel fresh. I forgot to mention it on last
Christmas,
one.
yeah.
Calvin.
I feel so fresh. I ordered a quick pack of 20. So that should hold me to the new year.
It's the small things, bro. They
Listen,
make massive difference.
No pandemic can bring me
You know
down,
what's
man.
so funny, yeah?
I
Because
got
everyone can
fresh
relate to
boxer
that,
shorts.
boy.
I
said it's gonna dash away all the old ones. Clean 20 new pairs.
There's nothing
Just
better,
be
man.
daddy.
You hit the nail on the head.
Oh, man, that is
Nothing better.
hilarious.
We're living and maintaining, you know that one.
Oh, bro. And then, last but not least, my guy Bam Bam.
What's going on?
My hitter, what's good, bro?
I'm blessed and highly favoured, man.
Love that.
That's it,
Thank
man.
God, man. Thank God.
So today's episode is one that all the listeners should be able to relate to. Obviously, given the situational times that we're in, are people falling out of love with the game?
Deep.
It's a deep, and to be honest, I don't think we even have enough time to go into everything we want to go into, because when you think about it, there are some players who, for whatever reason, weren't going to play what would have been our 2019, 2020, no, 2020, 21, 2021 season, sorry.
No.
COVID happened.
1920 season, you mean?
No.
No, it's
2021.
2020 to 2021. We would have started, yeah. We would have
Nothing
finished.
We'll be finishing
Well,
now.
yeah, it depends how you coin it.
2021 to 2020 to 2021 would have been the next season.
No, because we would have started in April, innit? We would have started games now, we would have finished in
yeah,
September.
yeah,
So technically it's not even 2021, but yeah, if we use it like
Would
they
have
do in
played
the
this
NFL,
year.
yeah, it would have played this year.
Yeah.
And because of COVID, obviously they haven't. And for some players now, I'm very sure they've decided to just pull the plug altogether.
Yeah.
Because like they're thinking, well, I've not been training with the team. There's only so much I'm going to do myself. This is not everybody. This is not categorizing everybody, but for some, this will be the case. And as a result, they're no longer playing football. I will go as far as saying, I think I've said it on another episode before, and yeah, it's not positive. I don't even know about a season for next year. Not personally, I'm just saying in terms of.
Bro, that's
I
painful to think
You have
about.
to
I
be
can't lie to
realistic.
you. I think people have to start thinking about that, because at the minute, again, at the time that people listen to this pod, some teams have been able to do some kind of distance training. Obviously, no contact, limiting use of sharing equipment, which isn't great because, I mean, with ball, you can do quite a lot of things on there anyway, so that's all right, like conditioning, footwork, etc., positional things.
Yeah.
But I'm personally now starting to think to myself, like, do we now have to start thinking about a second season with no ball? Continuous back-to-back seasons with no ball?
Yeah.
I think we do.
You know
Nobody
what,
wants
yeah?
to hear it, but I think
Bro,
we
I
do.
hope not, man.
Okay, first and foremost, I hope not. But secondly, who needs to be held accountable for this? Because
Boris
if
Johnson.
we go,
Wait, for what?
no, for American football, not. No American football season happening. Because
Yeah, I
if
know
we
what
go
you're
2
saying.
consecutive seasons without playing any form of potentially competitive football, that's not good enough, man. Because I play Sunday League.
Oh,
yeah?
sorry, yeah.
And we're still currently playing. I've even got a game tomorrow. Yeah. Netball's still currently happening. I've got guys that are still playing rugby right now competitively.
Yeah, my wife has been playing netball, so.
Basketball's still happening competitively. If all of
Indoors
these
too.
yeah, indoors and outdoors.
And outdoors.
Indoors and outdoors.
Still training.
If all these sports weren't playing competitively, I'd maybe understand. But all of them are. And it seems now that it's only American football, and I could be wrong, but out of the sports that I'm interested in playing, it seems like American football is the only one that I can't competitively play. I understand that there needs to be measures that are put in place, but I'm just confused as to why it's only us that are suffering. The first season, I might understand it. We might not have had the NGB. The NGB might not have been, national governing body might not have been prepped enough to tackle a coronavirus. But if this goes into a second season, something needs to be done, man. Something needs to be said. Someone needs to be held accountable, because I don't understand how so many other sports in this country have been given the green light and thumbs up to say, you guys can play, and yet we still haven't.
The only but I'd have there
speaks volumes.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go on.
And I'm going to be very tame.
Yeah.
Because you know I can go 2 ways. So I'm going to be very tame. I want to put a message out to Bafa right now, yeah? If there is no season in the 2021 season, yeah, it's your fault.
Well,
I don't know, man.
Because
finish.
Yeah, and these are the circumstances that will be your fault. If all other sports, as Solanke just mentioned, can continue and play, but American football can't, it's the national government body's fault.
So the only thing that's if you're finished.
So wait, so people are playing rugby right now?
So
people are playing rugby.
People are playing rugby. People are playing
Okay,
football.
then, yeah.
All
I
outdoor
hear you.
sports. As far as I'm aware, all outdoor sports. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
outdoor
Solanke
sports,
mentioned. Yeah, and others. Hockey. Yeah, hockey.
Field hockey you're playing, yeah.
So if these sports are
Oh,
made
oh,
COVID
oh.
safe,
No,
what's
it's not even that
stopping
they're COVID
us?
safe. It's that their national governing bodies have written and allowed them to play.
They've got guidelines and
They've
things.
put
for-
guidelines.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously, there's guidelines.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm saying, if all other sports, if we go into a second lockdown, and all other sports are allowed to continue and play, bar American football, it is Bafa's fault, and that's what I'm going to say.
My only reservation against that is, so we knew what happened with the first lockdown. I guess the NGB, they weren't prepped enough, and they weren't able
Which is
to put
completely
together.
understandable.
Weren't able to put together a suitable plan to for us to get the green light to play, like all the other sort of grassroots sports have. My only reservation against it being Bafa's fault for the second, if we don't get a second season, is we don't know what kind of level this whole coronavirus is going to be at, and whether it might even stop all the other sports.
But that's why I said if other sports are still playing next year.
Yeah.
In my mind,
there's a big if on this, and I don't want my words to get misconstrued. If all other sports are still playing, and their national governing bodies have written to the government and they've got the green light to go, and American football doesn't, it's solely Bafa's fault. Solely.
And off the back of that as well, I just think, like I kind of mentioned earlier, if we go back to the pod title, are people falling out of love with the game? And I think, like, I won't even lie to you, people that I've spoken to anyway, I've had thoughts, you know what, like, I'm not playing, I'm older, I'm getting hurt, you're out of the cycle. Like, I've been playing ball for, it should be 11 years, we haven't had a season, 10 years straight. When you don't have that gap of Sunday training, meeting your team, doing classroom, Zoom calls, all this, etc., it's weird. And now it's gone on for a whole season, and potentially, I hate saying it, but you just have to have that outlook with the way things are going. Potentially a second season of the same thing with absolutely no American football. It's panicking, man. Like,
but I mean, not just that. If you put yourself in a situation where this pandemic has made you, has caused some difficulties financially, you're not going to spend £300 on an amateur league, that you're not sure is going to deliver. You're not going to spend £300 on American football, as much as it is beneficial to your health,
you mean like
your
kit
health,
and stuff, and
for your kit and just
registration and all that
generally.
Sort of stuff,
So,
and that's a minimum as well.
Exactly.
That's a minimum spend.
Exactly. So, are we looking at potentially lowering club fees or to cater to those people who are in financial difficulty, because it is going to come up. So there's a lot of things that need to be considered. But I'd imagine, regards to the national governing body, I would imagine it's difficult.
100%.
There's a lot of red
I
tape.
can give them the benefit of the doubt for last season. Because
100%.
nobody knew
what was happening.
And I it would be famously and it would be unfair for me to say Bafa should have allowed us to play.
100%.
It would be unfair.
I don't want to cut in there, but at the same time, there were seasons in Finland and Sweden at the height of this COVID thing, at the actual height.
Guys were signing like
like
and
all the
then
guys that
going
were
to
going to
play.
play in Germany was
That's
going to play
fair,
out there.
but you have to take into account
And they played ball, bro.
Yeah, but you have to take into account.
Mm.
COVID cases over there, COVID cases over here. So
I get you.
This whole season here, for them to say, all right, cool, that's fine. It would be unfair, as I said, it would be unfair for me to say, no, we should have been playing. They're doing it over there. So if we have to talk in ifs, because we don't know if we're going to get a second lockdown. Yeah. We don't know if the cases are going to go up, if the deaths are going to go up or whatnot. We don't know. There's not going to be a vaccine. Let's be brutally honest here, yeah? AIDS has been around for past, 40 years. There's not a vaccine for AIDS. So the whole talk of getting a vaccine for this thing is desirable. Of course it's desirable, but let's be real, man. Come on. We have to, when we're talking about COVID, we have to be real with the whole situation. If is the main word in this whole thing, and I'm going to keep on saying if. Going back to your original question of are people falling in love with it? I'm falling out of love with it, man. Like, it's crossed my mind. I don't want to use the word retire because I'm not getting paid for this, but am I going to quit football?
It's a scary thought, man.
Am I going to quit football? I've wanted to. Essentially, we all have quit football because unless you're playing in Finland or in Poland, if you're playing in this country, of course you quit football, not through choice, of course not through choice, but through the uncontrollable. Yeah. And you know, it kind of feels nice not to wake up on Monday and not hurt. You know,
it's definitely a weird one because you say that I actually missed that. I guess to a point where I missed that feeling of
I know what
I'm
you
stiff
mean.
I'm stiff on Monday, but is going back to the question at hand, like, are people going to fall out of love with football? It's so tough because at the beginning of lockdown, I'll use myself as an example. Yeah, I was like on it, like you guys know. I was trying my best to look after my body. I was stretching. Like I'd gone to see physios and sports therapists, so like my body was in a good condition to play sports. But I went away on a staycation, like sort of 3/4 of the way through this whole whatever we want to call it, and then I came back and I just found it hard. Where there was no like, usually there's a day like I need to be fit already by this day. Yeah, where there's no day, I was like, what am I actually
doing?
Keeping fit and strong for? And then like it was a question that just kept crossing my mind. I was like, yes, I know what my long-term aims and aspirations are to be as an athlete, but are those days actually going to come anytime soon? It makes you think I'm allowed to be a little bit lazy this week. I'm allowed to not go to the gym this week because what am I actually doing it for? And that's why that question is so powerful, because it's like I'm passionate about this sport. I'm still in love with it, but maybe I am falling out of love with it because I don't want to do the things that I was doing 6 months ago to stay at my optimum fitness because I don't know what's happening next. I don't know what's gonna.
And I think it doesn't help where there's not really the peak of the mountain.
You can't see where it's gonna go and then come back. You can't actually see.
You might win a national championship, but then what? Kind of thing. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of feeling like. In fact, let me not speak for a lot of people. Let me speak for myself. My thought is that where we haven't had football in such a long time, similar to Solanke, what is it for now? I can stay fit. I can keep fit. I can do this, but I don't have the release for it. You know, and it hurts, man. It's sad. But
even you as a coach, like, how is this whole thing? How is this whole thing stunting your growth as a coach? Because I know you've been still keeping abreast with you know, coaching seminars, and I always see you posting about.
You're lucky in that
telling
sense,
us about stuff that you've conferences and Zoom calls that you've been on every week.
I think my coaching progress hasn't been stunted as much as my development as a player. Simply because, like I said, you can coach on the field and be out there, and I love that element of coaching, but that is always going to come no matter what. Do you know what I mean? COVID is eventually going to die down / disappear. So that element of physical coaching is always going to be there. But the part that I struggled with in my development as a coach is the reading and the watching. But I've been able to do lots of that now. So I don't think that's really stunted me as a coach. The thing that I'm most frustrated about is, so I coach university football, the lack of recruitment. So my second and third years have struggled to try and get guys into the sport, because
you find yourself with a massively depleted squad.
100%. That's one of the fears, and I think that's a fear across teams up and down the country.
So to cut you in, so are uni leagues still planning for a season?
So they're planning for potential games come the new year.
Okay.
So they're recruiting. Some teams are actually physically training. Some teams are just doing Zoom stuff. So my team, as of Monday coming, are going to start physically training. Only one member of the coaching staff will be there at a time. The rest of it will be student led. Simply because one, we don't know what the numbers are going to be like. Two, there's no competitive football. So some of the maybe Prem teams or Div 1 teams and Div 2 teams might have some friendlies in February/March. But it has no impact on who gets promoted or relegated. So it's just a case of playing games to give guys reps. So that part, I think, is going to be affected massively, because again, university ball is all about recruitment and trying to get guys into the game.
Freshers week.
I feel like that's going to be impacted across the country. And player development. So the rookies coming in, they're gonna. And I feel sorry for them. They're not gonna be able to get that hands-on coaching presence.
You're not gonna get a real feel for it.
Exactly that. So we can do as much as we can via Zoom and stuff, but that's why I say that's the only bit that I'm gonna miss, is being able to have a rookie, because that's what I enjoy most about was having a rookie and turning him into a really, really good player. And it's tough to do that online. So yeah, I think the physical aspect of football has been impacted more than my coach, and I feel like for coaches, especially new coaches, this is the best time to learn to be a very, very good coach, because there's so much collateral out there. There's so many things going on the BAFCA pages, even things that I need to do, and then there's so many webinars and things like that that you touched on. So
I think, like, coming from an aspect of a parent, obviously there's a few of us in here who fall into that category, where we now find that obviously when we go and play games, or even just going to training, we are obviously making sacrifices, because obviously if you've got kids, young, old, whichever, or just, it doesn't have to be just parents. If you've got if you've got things you have to dedicate your time to, and you get that you're blessed enough to be able to go and play football and still manage all these other things, now that you've not had to dedicate that time to football, you're suddenly finding that you've got time to do other things.
No, it's
that you weren't necessarily able to do.
Time. It's that there's more things. You see that there's more things to do.
Exactly. And I think the minds of some people might start to wonder. Like, it's just like, well, Sunday I'd normally be playing football, or Tuesday evening I might be going training. But now I don't have to do that because it's not available. So it's like you're starting to see things that you not necessarily missed out on, but where you could have allocated time elsewhere to do other things. And because it's been going on for so long, that's gonna, for some people, become the norm. So going back to football for some people is the odd one out. Like, whereas people are looking forward to get back onto the field, to like clash heads and put pads on. Whereas for some people, it's like, well, you know what? I've not done that for so long. Do I want to do it anymore? Like, I think it's just, and again, it doesn't have to be people that have kids solely. It's just anything that you find you have to dedicate time to, or takes a lot of time, or something you have to focus on.
People are going to have to build that habit.
Exactly. I think people are going to have to, it's going to sound mad, but some people are going to have to relearn to fall in love with the game again, like from scratch almost, because like, look, this isn't going away anytime soon. I really don't think so.
Can I ask you about a question that's just come into my head? Say there is a season next year, how would you actually feel about playing?
That's a good question.
In it, with the looming fact that COVID is still around.
I'd play.
I think I would play.
No, not that. I'm not asking you, would you play? Because I know you're asking
about
how would you feel about it, knowing that COVID is still a bit more.
To be honest, like, this is personally for me. Like, going back to the whole question, I haven't fallen out of love with the sport. Like, I thought I've had reasons to. Like, I got signed to a pretty good team, like, and it didn't happen because of COVID. Could quit, but I'm like, I just think we all got to hold out. I don't know if you're like I don't know if you love the game of football or anything like that. I think it's like anything, man. Like, you got to try to see the road even when it's not there sometimes, because same way we're all saying all of this now, it's cool being civilized and that, even if you ain't got kids, it's like, I can spend more time with my girl, like I can be around my family and all that. But let's not forget the reason why we all got into the sport in the first place. Deep down, there was a part inside of you, that made you that savage, that you were willing to sacrifice those hours on a Sunday to not be with your woman or be with your kid, and not to say you don't love them and that.
Of course.
And it's cool to see that civilized part of it, but man, I think we just gotta, again, like, hope for the best. I don't think COVID's gonna maybe disappear overnight as much as I wish it would be, but personally, just man, stay the course, bruv, and keep training. Don't feel like, oh yeah, because there's nothing there now.
Trust.
Like, you be surprised. You might not even know what you're training for, but it will come. Like, it's better to be prepared.
Yeah.
And say you did keep in shape, and then all of a sudden they say, you know what, guys? Yeah, football's back on, brother. And you're like, yeah, I'm calm, rather than being in that boat like, oh man,
What's the vibe?
I need to start training now. Like,
what's the current vibe in terms of like the European vibe? Because obviously you're in that kind of sphere.
I mean, from what I've heard,
players still want to go out there and play.
Certain guys are preparing.
Some
like,
guys are playing for 2-3 teams this season.
Like, I'm hearing GFLs all trying to start the league now later in June. As to when they would do it earlier normally, just because I think they're trying to put things in place to actually make it happen. And even if it's going to be games where there's no people in the stands, like it's been done in the NFL, the way they've done it, I think in Poland this weekend, because of the new restrictions and whatnot, people can't come to the games anymore, but the games are still being live streamed. And guys will still play football. And back to what I was saying with Sweden, and I think even Austria, the AFL, they're putting things in place as well. So some sort of domestic game can take place. Obviously, everything was happening. But even if you look at things at the worst case scenario, back then, I think they have all the countries have everything they need to plan. Even our governing body has everything they need to plan a season amidst COVID. If you want to play in it now, I think everyone should sign a waiver. That's up to you. Sign a waiver. Whatever happens, happens. But
imagine this year, fast forward, let's hopefully say next year, 2021, most teams would ideally... now the thing is, most teams would ideally start pre-training, come like towards... now, basically. Because I remember I was doing that with someone, I think I did it with the XRs and even the Blitz started at a certain point, like you pre-training before you actually start. And that can't even happen now. Technically, it can't really happen now. So let's fast forward, for example, and say hopefully season started in 2021, April or May, whichever it is. It might even have to flip the schedule just because of the way things are. Who knows, to accommodate Bucks or whatever. You got your helmet on. It's first game of the season for everyone. Kickoff's just about to happen. How are you feeling?
That's
you haven't. You were saying you ain't touched the ball in a competitive game in so long. You ever had to go up? Do you know what I mean?
Getting hurt, bro. Guys getting hurt, bro.
Would you?
I think to say that someone wouldn't be nervous, I think is a bit of a. I think it'd be natural to feel nervous because you haven't been in a competitive situation for over a year, basically. And it might even be longer than that by the time we actually do play and step on the field, where you've got an opposition team on the side ready to knock you out, sort of thing. Like, or you need to stop your guy one-on-one. Like, it's almost like you need that first hit, that first play, which you normally need at the start of any season. But when we have our first season post-COVID, it's going to be so mad.
I mean, mad, yeah.
I don't know why you'd be shook.
Similar to that's what G's saying, because you don't. I never play this sport thinking, oh no, is my body in this condition? Basically, injury. My biggest fear is injury, and sometimes, if your body is not conditioned, there's a conditioning that you get from reps in practice.
Even learning how to fall.
That's the thing. You can't replicate anywhere else. You can't replicate that in the gym.
No.
It has to happen in practice.
Live action,
and obviously, you went to the London Blitz, kind of the pilot of the kind of the life with COVID and how football, Britball is going to be held. Practices are going to be held during COVID. And if they're saying we're situations where we might not be able to do scrimmages, because they can't control it. So that means potentially we might never have scrimmages in practice. And for me, scrimmage is where I know Wagwan, like where I know, am I really built for this? So if you eliminate that and I have to wait till a game to feel that, in my head I'm thinking I'm not physically prepared to play a game. Whether you lift 200 kg in the gym, you deadlift 500 kg in the gym, you need to scrimmage. It's like a boxer sparring.
It's like Paris, isn't it? Someone steps on your ankle, you're done.
That's it. And if that fear is in my head, then I need to forget the game.
Do you know what, V? It sounds like not that this is the NFL, but everything you just said, my mind was just going bing, bing, bing. Thinking back to our episode we did about injuries, where we spoke about the NFL. If you think about it, if you're potentially saying, because this could happen, it could be a scenario where we don't get to do scrimmages, it's all on air and you can't do all the contact, but then we get the green light to have a season in, let's say, January, February, or even March. We've had no time to do, and let's say, for example, Bath can't push the season any more further in the year because of, I don't know, Bucks and other things in the calendar. And all of a sudden, we've been thrusted into a season that starts in April, May, when we've had like maybe a month of potential like contact or scrimmage. There's going to be hella injuries.
Oh yeah,
just NFL. Like you said, there's going to be mad injuries.
NFL.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm just thinking that could happen. It could happen.
I don't think we'll go into a season without any form of scrimmage,
or it might be the case where it's too late to start the season.
My main concern,
and you don't have one.
My main concern about this whole thing, if there is a season next year, is the fact that COVID is still looming, and how do, without putting ideas into people's head, how is it policed? So say, God forbid, and I hope if someone does contract COVID or does get a positive test, that they're going to be 100% honest with the team. But what if someone's not honest?
That's the thing.
And then they go to the team, and then another person tests for it, and then they're not honest. Because we know the like people in Baffa, you know.
Surely not. That's
I'm not saying, but you can't always judge.
Yeah.
You can't always judge it, like ask everyone to be. Well, you can't always think that someone's always going to have like be truthful.
I think
that's not how the world works
as well. Like,
with this whole thing with COVID, is that yes, in the ideal world, we do want football, we do want outdoor sports, and luckily, everyone that I know who is playing outdoor sports right now during this half of COVID, if you want to call it by halves and quarters, hasn't contracted anything. But how do we know going into the winter months, colder months, that this thing's not going to get worse, and then when we do get to play, or if we do get to play football, that this COVID thing's not going to be more vigorous? Like, how many people play American football? That's like 19,000 people.
It's a mad number.
From grassroots to senior level.
It's not more than the amount of people that play soccer.
It's not. No. It's not. But we don't know who's going to get it. And
that's
hopefully,
but no outdoor sport does.
That's what I know. That's what I'm saying. In the ideal world, of course. But that's my main thing. Like, of course, I'd love to play another season. Of course, like 2 seasons without football, I have no release, bruv.
Because if it's not like we're elite. If we were elite like they do with elite sports, they're able to at least track and trace and quarantine. That's not going to happen in any grassroots. So you're right.
We're not even categorized.
Yeah, we're not going to know if anybody's got it or whether it's been. We're not going to know. It's the fear of the unknown. It's kind of mad because the more I think about it, I just keep thinking: is there even going to be a season next year?
I don't want to think of it like that, man.
I know, man.
For real.
Going back to the question that G asked me, I'll be excited, man. Like, I've waited so long for this moment to either light someone up or do something on the field that I don't think I could be scared. Do you know what I mean? I'd be filled with so much adrenaline of trying to make that first hit or that first play that, boy, I'm just down. Do you know what I mean? So I understand where you guys are coming from, but for me personally, I don't think there'll be any fair, man.
So plot twist. Say that's the case, and touch wood, obviously this doesn't happen. Imagine someone with that, it doesn't have to be you, whoever, is feeling that adrenaline, that hype. First play, bam, they're gone down, injury. Your mind is you're gonna go to a place of, how is this happened? I've missed a whole season already, potentially the majority of pre-season for this potential season in 2021. First play of the game or whatever, I'm hurt.
That's football.
There's casualties in war, bro.
That's football.
I know, but could you imagine? It's different now.
I know
what you mean. Like, psychologically, someone might think,
it's
2 years, I'm going to miss some, but that's football.
Playing football is 100% chance of getting injured, innit?
Yeah, correct.
That's football.
You know, that first game will be so sweet, though. It will be so sweet.
Oh, man. Like, I'm looking forward to it.
It's just
me personally. And the thing is, I don't want to like go on like I'm ignoring everyone else's like feelings and stuff like that. But me personally, bam, I'm ready to ball, man.
Yeah,
I'm ready to get me lit.
I just hope it's sooner than later, man. But unless anyone's got anything else they want to add, we're gonna wrap up because we're running out of time.
Let's just hope. And this is a calm bam. Let's just hope if we can play sports next year that the NGB, national governing body, puts in the right measures and the right things to allow us to actually play. And that's my only. Once you start doing that, that's when you start getting trust.
And speaking of right measures, Mike Island, that was meant to do the Schmider Cup thing, I caught up with him a couple of weeks ago, and this guy has got everything like officially sorted out, ready for the teams or the players that are going to play that in that tournament to play that game without fear, sort of thing. Like he had the track and trace stuff ready, he had the temperature checks ready, he had forms that people had to fill out. Like it was so ready. So I think there are ways that will enable us to play a season if COVID is at the rate it's at now, whereby people can still play outdoor organised sports. So yeah, I think if it doesn't get any more serious and it gets a lot worse, there's no reason why, in my opinion, we shouldn't be able to play next season, especially when the people like Mark Island, that we can literally copy and paste his model across all teams or matches that play
Tell
next
it
season.
to Boris, bruv. Anyway, on that note, we're going to wrap up. Thank you once again, guys, for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like, share and subscribe button on YouTube, and check out everything X's and O's across all social platforms. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Subscribe too, please.